They took off from Florida on a calm December afternoon in 1945. 5 Navy aircraft, 14 men, and a mission that should have lasted no more than 3 hours. It was supposed to be simple. Fly east, turn north, then return home to base before sunset. But that day, nothing went as planned, and by nightfall, not one of them would ever be seen again. Welcome to Secrets Buried in Time, where history's mysteries are never truly silent, and the ghosts of the past still whisper through the wind. Tonight, we journey into one of America's most chilling aviation enigmas, the story of Flight 19, the squadron that vanished without a trace. It was December 5th, 1945. The war was over. America had emerged victorious, and soldiers were coming home. Yet for the U.S. Navy, training never stopped. The Atlantic still served as their open classroom, a place where young pilots learned to navigate both sky and sea. That afternoon at Fort Lauderdale Naval Air Station, the sun burned bright above the runway. Mechanics hurried between planes, checking engines and instruments. The air hummed with the sound of propellers warming up. 5 Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers stood in a neat line, strong, heavy, and battle-tested. They had proven themselves across the Pacific during World War II. Now they were being used to train the next generation. The man in command was Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, a 28-year-old veteran. Taylor had flown over 2,500 hours in combat missions. To his students, he was confident, methodical, and fearless, the kind of leader who could handle anything. The 14 men under his supervision were eager, ambitious, and proud to be part of a routine flight known as Navigation Problem Number 1. The plan was straightforward. Take off from Fort Lauderdale, fly east 140 miles, then turn north for 73 miles, and finally head southwest back to base before sunset. It was a triangular route over the warm Atlantic waters, nothing unusual. At 2:10 p.m., Taylor gave the signal. Engines roared. The 5 planes lifted off the runway, one after another, their silver wings gleaming in the Florida sunlight. As they climbed higher, the coastline faded away behind them, replaced by endless waves of blue. For the first hour, everything went perfectly. The squadron flew in tight formation, the sky clear and calm, radios crisp and steady. But around 3 p.m., something changed. At the control tower, operators began picking up a weak signal. The voice was familiar, Lieutenant Taylor, but he sounded tense. "This is FT-28. Both my compasses are out. I think we're off course." The radio officer frowned and tried to respond. "What is your position?" There was a pause. Then Taylor replied, "We're not sure. The ocean looks different. I think we're over the Florida Keys." That one sentence changed everything. If Taylor was over the Keys, that meant he was far south of his planned route. But the men flying under him insisted otherwise. They were certain they were still over the open Atlantic east of Florida. Confusion began to spread, one voice after another trying to correct their leader, but Taylor's authority held. He ordered the squadron to turn northeast, believing they were heading back toward the mainland. In reality, they were flying deeper into the ocean. The weather began to shift. Dark clouds rolled in from the horizon. Rain started to fall. The waves below churned violently. The radio signal grew weaker with every passing minute. The tower tried desperately to contact them. "Turn west, Lieutenant Taylor. Fly west toward the sun. You'll reach the coast." But Taylor didn't answer. The storm was growing and communication was fading. Static filled the airwaves. Then a chilling message came through. "Everything looks wrong. Even the ocean looks strange." Those were among the last words ever heard from Flight 19. By late afternoon, the Navy realized the squadron was in trouble. A search and rescue operation was launched immediately. A Martin PBM Mariner, a huge seaplane with a 13-man crew, took off to locate the lost flight. It was equipped with powerful lights, extra fuel, and radio gear for long-range missions.
But just 20 minutes after takeoff, the rescue plane vanished too. A nearby tanker crew reported seeing a massive fireball in the sky, followed by thick smoke. They believed the Mariner had exploded in mid-air, perhaps due to a fuel leak. The search now had 27 missing men, 5 from the original squadron and 13 from the rescue crew. The night fell hard and cold. All through the darkness, the radio operators kept listening. Occasionally, faint voices crackled through the static, broken, desperate transmissions. "This is FT-28. We can't tell where we are." Then silence. The next morning, the search intensified. The Navy deployed more than 300 aircraft, 21 ships, and hundreds of personnel. For days, they combed the waters between Florida, the Bahamas, and Bermuda, an area now infamous for strange disappearances. They found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slick, no bodies. The sea had swallowed everything. After a week, the Navy's official report simply read, "Cause unknown. Aircraft and men presumed lost at sea." It was a line written to end the investigation, but not the questions. How could 5 planes, all flying together, vanish without a trace? How could Taylor's 2 compasses fail simultaneously? And what happened to the rescue plane that disappeared moments later? In the years that followed, explanations began to emerge, some scientific, some supernatural. Skeptics claimed that Taylor had become disoriented, leading his men in the wrong direction. They likely ran out of fuel and ditched in the open ocean. The powerful Gulf Stream would have quickly carried away any wreckage, leaving no evidence behind. But others weren't convinced. The area where Flight 19 disappeared lies inside what would later become known as the Bermuda Triangle, a region stretching from Florida to Bermuda to Puerto Rico. For decades, sailors and pilots had reported strange phenomena there. Compasses spinning uncontrollably, radios cutting out, sudden weather changes, and even ghostly lights flickering beneath the waves. Some theorized that the region held magnetic anomalies strong enough to interfere with navigational instruments. Others believed in methane gas eruptions from the ocean floor, creating invisible traps that could swallow ships and planes in seconds. And then there were the truly wild theories: portals, time warps, alien abductions, even remnants of the lost city of Atlantis. None of them could be proven, but all of them spoke to one unshakable truth. The ocean still holds secrets we do not understand. In 1991, divers exploring the Florida coast discovered 5 World War II-era Avenger bombers resting on the sea floor. The world thought the mystery was solved, but when serial numbers were checked, they didn't match Flight 19. Those were different aircraft, lost on separate missions. The real Flight 19 remained missing. Over the decades, attempts to locate the wreckage using sonar, submersibles, and satellite mapping have all failed. No definitive trace of the planes or the men has ever been found. Even the descendants of the pilots still visit the ocean each year, laying wreaths on the waves, hoping that one day the Atlantic might give back what it took. Some modern researchers believe Taylor's mental state may have played a role. He was reportedly unfamiliar with the Florida Keys region and may have mistaken the shallow Bahama banks for the Gulf Coast. Once he believed he was lost, his decision-making collapsed. But even if that's true, it doesn't explain why his students, several of whom had working compasses, didn't break formation or return to base on their own. It also doesn't explain the eerie radio reports of distorted waves, glowing clouds, and time seeming to slow down, descriptions that sound almost supernatural. Many pilots who have flown through the Bermuda Triangle since then have reported bizarre experiences: compass needles spinning, altimeters dropping to zero, and voices flickering through static. Some claim they've heard distant calls, faint, ghostly voices repeating, "This is FT-28, Mayday, Mayday." Coincidence? Maybe. Or perhaps echoes of something trapped forever between sky and sea. Flight 19 remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in aviation history. 5 aircraft, 14 men, 1 rescue crew, and not a single trace. No wreckage, no remains, only silence. It's easy to dismiss it as human error, as the chaos of post-war training. But those who study the Bermuda Triangle know that this is not an isolated case. Dozens of ships, planes, and entire crews have vanished in that same patch of ocean, as if drawn into something unseen, something ancient. Perhaps the truth lies deep beneath the surface, in the crushing darkness where even light cannot reach. Or maybe, just maybe, the answer isn't in the ocean at all, but somewhere beyond the limits of time and reason. Even now, when pilots fly that same route, they sometimes report strange readings, sudden drops in altitude, compasses that flicker, and radios that hum with static. And in that white noise, some claim to hear it again. This is FT-28. We can't tell where we are. The voices of men lost long ago, still searching for home. History says they disappeared. The ocean says they're still out there, somewhere between the clouds and the deep. And perhaps, just maybe, that's exactly where they were meant to stay. If you want to keep uncovering the world's hidden truths and forgotten mysteries, like, comment, and subscribe to Secrets Buried in Time, because the deeper you dig into history, the darker the secrets become.